What's happening YouTube? Hashtag Tom here and back again with another video. It's episode 2. As you would have seen in the last episode, which was 3 weeks ago, we did finish 15-0. So we've got another 15 games to try and get that 30-0 and the first in the world. I haven't been here for a few weeks, as you would have seen. Yeah, basically been inactive because we had a few pro tournaments. So when I last left you, I hadn't actually competed at the top level in FIFA 20 because I hadn't made a Champs Cup, hadn't made an event. But went to Atlanta for Champs Cup 3. Most of you would have known the result, but for anyone that didn't, I finished second there. We lost to in the final. I'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a second. And then just been to Club World Cup a few days ago. Managed to finish top 4. So 2 good performances that do put me second in the world on the rankings. So we've gone from like 60th or 70th to second in the matter of a month, I think. So yeah, good stuff from that. So let me start with Atlanta, my first tournament of FIFA 20, Champs Cup 3. We had a whole hashtag squad outing, me, Shori, as you can see there, Harry just behind me here, and JRA, our Spanish sign-in. We were all there, we all competed. I'm sure most of you have seen the vlog, but it was a pretty sick experience, to be honest. Going to America, which is obviously something that you definitely don't take for granted. Not something you get to do in a normal job, let's say it like that. Going to America was a sick experience. Tournament was pretty good, especially in the knockouts, but there was a few issues for me in the group stage. Even though I did manage to go 5-0 and I was the first seed, there was a few little issues there with the tournament production, but overall the tournament was a great experience for me. So over these highlights, I'm just going to be talking a load of nonsense about what I've been up to for the last 3 or 4 weeks and why you haven't seen me on YouTube. I do apologise. Every time I come on here, I say that I am going to do content and I never end up doing it. Pro season's been really busy at the minute, so it is kind of hard to find a consistent schedule on YouTube. But yeah, I'll start with Atlanta, the first tournament that I competed in. I went into it with high expectation of myself, but I think from an outsider, no one really would expect me to do too much because obviously I hadn't made the first 2 Champs Cups, and FIFA 19 I had a decent season, but not one where you'd be like, oh yeah, he's going to come straight back in and smash it. I started in Atlanta against Nicholas, who I still believe to this day is the best PlayStation player in the world. He was obviously ranked number 1 in the world last year for FIFA 19. He hasn't had the best start to FIFA 20. And going into it, I knew that no matter what, he's always going to be good at the game. It's just results weren't going his way at the minute. So I planned to play him. I knew I was playing him before because the games are seeded depending on your ranking before the tournament. And it was a pretty mad game. I don't remember the ins and outs of it. What I do know is we were drawing 3-3 going into extra time, and I scored a goal in the 121st minute to win it. So literally the last kick of the game. I remember shooting, got a rebound, and then he headed it in, which was pretty sick. I had a massive reaction to that. That was literally the first time. Yeah, but I don't want to insert clip. Yeah, I went pretty mad against Nicholas. That was my first win at a competitive tournament since playoffs. So I hadn't had that event experience in ages. Managed to win that. We got Zizinho, if I'm right, at 1-0. Brazilian player who knocked me out of the E-Champions League last year in the last 16, and one of the world's best again, I'd say. He's consistent. He's always around the top 10, top 20 in the world. And that was another tight game. If I remember correctly, I won 4-2, but don't quote me on that because my memory's sort of gone. Third game was against Paulo Neto, South American. But then we managed to win that like 7-1, which meant that we were through Swiss. In them tournaments, you only have to get to 3 wins before losing 3. So luckily I managed to go 3-0, which meant I was just playing for seeding in my last 2 games. Matched the man behind me, Harry, at 3-0. I won that game. And then who I eventually played in the final, we played at 4-0 in a seeding game, which I won. Took me into the knockouts as the top seed. Obviously the only undefeated player on PlayStation. Undefeated player on Xbox was no surprise, Tex. And in day 2 of Atlanta, I played Ethan, another UK player. I think this is his first tournament, if I'm right. So he did really well to get out of Swiss at his first tournament, because that is not easy. We had a few problems in that game that I'm happy to talk about. Basically, for the first time at an event, I had lag, and I've never ever experienced that before. But the game was lagging a hell of a lot of times. There was a random lag spike. We're not sure why to this day. They did try and sort it out on the spot. Fair play to the refs. But yeah, that was a really weird experience. Like, obviously, you see us at events and you're like, oh, these guys are so blessed. They play with the best teams in the game. They have the best players. They have the best connection. But yeah, we're literally sitting there in lag at a live event. in 2020. But the less I say about that, the better. Managed to get the win anyway. Shout out to Wes, my coach, sitting next to me while I'm looking down. Managed to keep my head. And then quarterfinals was a big game because you have to play for top 4. And top 4 at these tournaments gets you automatically qualified for the next one. I'm sure most of you watch the hashtag esports vlogs and you understand the struggles of qualifiers. They're definitely not easy and they do take up a whole weekend. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you want to say it, I matched Harry and he decided to give me the win because he'd already got a top 4 in Champs Cup 2. So I managed to beat him in pens in the end. The story behind that.
You beat me at pens.
The story behind that is Harry taught me pens on Thursday. You get a whole day to warm up, and obviously most pros are like, yeah, let's just bash out a load of games and get loads of practice. Harry used his initiative to teach me how to take penalties. There was a picture on Twitter of the penalty shootout me and Harry played. I think he won like 35-34, something ridiculous. But we basically spent like 2 hours practicing our pens and seeing what we could do. And he literally told me everything. I think most of you are aware, well I know all of you are aware, Harry is literally the king of penalties in FIFA 20. He knows the ins and outs, so I won't explain on camera. He knows the ins and outs of what you have to do. So he told me everything and how to approach each penalty depending on how the other person's taking them, how to save penalties. And it turned out after a long game, which we drew 2-2.
The student became the master.
The student became the master. I've won. I think it didn't go sudden death, did it? It was
no. You won for like 4-2 or something, I think.
Yeah, it was something like that. So it was a pretty tense penalty shootout nonetheless, but managed to get the win. It was kind of weird, and I didn't enjoy playing Harry, but we both said that at least one of us get a top 4 spot then. We'd rather match then than be playing at Swiss at like 1 and 2. So it's definitely better to be matching on the world stage in a quarter-final. As you can see on the screen, the team that just came up, this is the guy that actually stream sniped me in Weekend League. I don't know why people do this, but because I live stream all my games on Twitch, people can easily go into my channel and literally just see when I'm searching and search at the same time and match me. Because there's not many people playing at my skill level on a Friday, it's fairly easy. And that's not an open invite. Please don't do that. Do not stream snipe. It's irritating and I can't see any reason why you would do it. This guy decided to stream snipe me. Fair play to him.
Because when you're at the top, people want to take you down.
Yeah. That. He went 2-0 up. But we get the equaliser with Neymar there. That's pretty sick elastico. Which put me in a good position. And like in a last attack sort of situation, I think the pro normally wins in Weekend League because we're more used to like playing for the last attack and like keeping the ball for them last few minutes. He gave me the ball there. I went forward, scored with Messi, beat him 3-2, and that put me at 24-0. So I imagine it was kind of tilting at 23-0 to be stream sniped. I knew the guy sniped me because he come into my chat. He was on my viewer list. I checked my viewer list as the game loaded up. His Twitch name is the exact same as his PlayStation name. So I checked the viewer list. And surprise, surprise, within about 30 seconds of the game finishing, he was straight in my chat saying, GG's, mate. Like, it was pretty obvious he was literally sitting on my stream on a different computer and just matched me. Obviously wanted to end the 30-0, but I said no, managed to clutch up the win. We're now into our last 5 games, which is actually really, really tight at this point because the matchmaking does get difficult at 25-0 on a Friday. I think this Tom Decker guy is an Elite 2 player, and you have to really, really sweat. You have to really sweat because everyone on a Friday is gonna, even if their records aren't that good. I respect Friday players in Weekend League more than the Sunday player, just because I've been there on a Friday and I understand how hard it is. So yeah, you'll see these games, they probably do get really tight. I think there's a few outliers every now and then, but I did make it to Reddit, didn't I? Yeah, there's match. Basically, I made it on Reddit because obviously all 30 games, it's impossible on a Friday because no one else is playing the 30 games to match someone on like a good record. So I don't know why it happened. There was a Reddit quote about me, a little Reddit post that showed that I matched someone with a really, really poor record that I should never match. But what can you do? I don't determine matchmaking. I literally sit there on stream, press searching for opponent and see who loads into my screen. I don't avoid, can't be bothered with all that. I'm sitting on Twitch, interacting with my chat. My searching screen is on at the same time, so I definitely don't avoid anyone. It's not in my best interest to avoid, really. Like, what do I gain out of it? If you get exposed for it, you get banned. So it's not a risk I can take. And back to Atlanta, I stopped at the semi-final. I beat Ollie Bolly late on with an R9 scoop turn goal. And suddenly I'm in a Champs Cup final. And I'm playing HSV Umut. And I can say to him, well, I can say about him, that we both definitely weren't expected to get to the final. If I'm right, it's one of Umut's first events. He's only 17, so it definitely is. And unfortunately, I choked. I conceded in the 90th minute of the second leg to lose the game, which was annoying, really, really annoying. It still haunts me to this day, but I made a mistake to let him get in. So at least I can blame myself. If you're going to lose in a game like that, you don't really want like a game fault. Like, I don't know, your keeper making a mistake or centre back doing something wrong. At least I know that I made the mistake and I can improve on it and I can go back, work on it, make sure it doesn't happen again. Really frustrating, but it got me a load of pro points. I won $15,000 as well. So good for my first tournament. We then went to Club World Cup in Milan last week. As you would have seen, top 4 with Tex. We lost to 11s, which is Ethan and Resende. Fair play to them boys. Very good games overall. It was a sick tournament because the 2v2 element is completely new. And, well, not completely new, but we've only had like 2 tournaments with it. So it's actually really fun to play in. I enjoyed it. Obviously, these boys played with each other, got robbed by a disconnection, which is actually much more frustrating than how I lost. Because as I said, when a game disconnects, there's nothing a player can do. Like, Shori and Harry can't go back and be like, yeah, I could improve the game connection. Do you know what I mean? Because we're at an event. Like, they can't help that. But if you make a mistake, then you know it's your fault and that you can actually improve it. So yeah, you've probably seen the clip. If you haven't, go on Harry's Twitter of they were basically about to score, literally pass it into a striker's feet, and the game disconnected, but the refs couldn't put the ball exactly back where it was. Because it's like, I don't know why, but you can imagine it's fairly hard to simulate the game and put the ball to the striker's feet where Harry and Shori had it to score. So really, really bad circumstances for them. But after a whole wrap-up, so I finished top 4. These boys finished top 16 at the tournament. Both topped our group, so it shows that we are both playing really well at the minute. All 3 of us and Tex, currently my teammate at Fnatic. But I am back at hashtag start of March. I know a lot of people do ask that question, and I probably need to make it a bit more clear. I've won tournament wearing the Fnatic stuff and being part of Fnatic, which is in Paris, Champs Cup 4. Also qualified because of Atlanta. And then 1st of March, we are back, full hashtag, no loan moves, no competing for other clubs, hashtag only from now on, well, from then on. And after them 2 tournaments, the reason I have been away, I'm currently sitting 2nd in the world on PlayStation, which is uncharted territory for me. Highest I got to last year was 22nd, so FIFA 20's been an improvement on FIFA 19 so far, but I still haven't won a trophy, and that's the one thing I want. I just want a good picture with a trophy that I can put on Instagram. I can make it my YouTube banner. I can make it my Twitter profile picture. And yeah, now I've qualified for World Cup, my main aim is to win a trophy. Just because for the rest of the year, there's not really that... The motivation for most pros is get yourself in the top 16, get yourself to World Cup. Because I've secured it pretty early, I can just focus on competing at tournaments and winning trophy and basically winning as much prize money as I can so I can have a sick summer. Harry is sitting in 7th at the minute. He needs probably 200, 300 more points, if I remember correctly, to secure a World Cup spot, which is definitely achievable because there is a lot of tournaments going on. Shori is sitting in 27th, if I remember correctly.
That's the one, mate.
I'm such a good teammate. Remembered that perfectly. So Shori's now got to push the World Cup. He's got a lot of tournaments to do it. He's not in Paris, but we have E-Prem qualifiers coming around the corner. 17th for Harry. 24th for me and Shori. We're both going for Watford. Obviously, lifelong Watford fans would mean everything for us to represent them. Basically, in E-Prem, we haven't gone for the teams we support because we don't think it's that beneficial at this moment in time. It's mainly about getting yourself to the tournament, no matter how you get there, and getting the points and making sure you can compete at the E-Premier League. You see in pro football, players join teams that they don't support. You don't just play for the team you support. So yeah, we've both gone for Watford for that one on the 24th. So my schedule for the next 2 weeks is Paris on the 21st of February, where I'll be competing, same format as Atlanta. We're back to 1v1 FIFA only. Be competing there. Hopefully can bring a trophy home finally. 3rd time lucky this season. But yeah, I'm sure it'd be a bit different, bit of a different pressure. Sort of going in as a marked man now instead of someone that is just seen as a bit of an outsider. And then literally the day I fly back, Monday morning, we have the Watford E-Premier League qualifier on the Monday night. I will be streaming that on Twitch, so the Twitch link, as usual, is in my bio. If you want to go overhead there, show me some support, feel free. And then on the Friday, the 29th, is Champs Cup 5 qualifier. However, if I do well in Paris, if I finish top 4 in Paris, I won't have to play the qualifier. That will be on the 29th. And then in March, we've got England stuff, E-Lions qualifiers, Champions League qualifiers. So it's a really, really busy schedule. So on YouTube, I'm probably going to be a bit slow. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I'm going to get a load of content out and you're going to watch a load of stuff. Mainly, when the time I do have, I'll be streaming on Twitch. That is where I'll be at, because it's easier to play weekend league and stuff on there. And yeah, as you see by the last game, even though I have been talking nonsense the whole time, we did manage to get 30-0. It was pretty sick, all in one day. Took me about 8 or 9 hours, but all 31 day. Got 1st in the world, wrapped that up. Pretty sick weekend league. And yeah, I hope you did enjoy watching them highlights. If you have any questions on anything I've done in the game, because obviously I didn't speak over the gameplay and what I was doing. If you got any questions, just fire them in the comments. I'll be replying to anyone that does ask. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.
Go on, Shori, hashtag it.
Go on, Shori, hashtag it. Go on, do it again.
Go on,
I know how much you love doing it.
Come on,
Every
boys.
video.
Come on.
Every video.